Flat surfaces seem to be aerodynamic. I like that philosophy. Let's run with it.
Hello out there in internet land. This is episode 10 of the 2023 season of the F1 Chat. I'm your host, Phil Lamington. Sitting to my left is a man who is possibly just as angry as Yuki Tsunoda, because he's not shouting, that's his normal voice. It's JB. JB, how are you, my friend?
I am just as angry as Yuki Tsunoda because for the second weekend in a row I've watched McLaren stuff up in two different race disciplines on the same day, so no, it was good. It was terrible.
That was great. And sitting to my right is a man who is nowhere near as angry as Yuki Tsunoda. He's a little bit more passive. It's Longhorn. Longhorn, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good. I've got to be a bit more passive being a Williams supporter, because otherwise I'd be Yuki Tsunoda 2.0 angry if I was angry.
That's because your car has got the outrigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was prepared for Imola,
Yeah.
but unfortunately that got cancelled. So
It was a boat. It's a literal boat underneath, yeah.
for those listening who want to know what we're talking about, look at the underside, the underbottom of the Williams compared to, say, a Red Bull.
It's flat.
Yes, there's nothing there.
They just swiped the demo car and just painted it in Williams, and that's it. That's as far as they've gone.
All that wind tunnel time, and all they did was get the blower guys out of the Formula 1 game with the DeWalt blowers. That's all they did. They didn't bother using a tunnel. They were just like, that'll do.
It's just one of those paper wind turbine things.
Sir, the battery's flat.
blow it.
That'll do. Pack her up. That's it. We're ready.
What did you do with the wind tunnel testing time? They're just in there with like a ping pong table.
Just the aero guys just
60 hours.
playing.
They're
Oh.
just like we got 60 hours of just fucking around in the wind tunnel. just like throwing a ping pong ball down into the wind tunnel and blowing it back.
Just renting it out for
So
like the
much-
squash championships or something to make some money back on it.
One of the engineers walks in. They're like, try it, man. This is so much fun. It's like playing table tennis with someone else. The engineer's just shaking his head, just go, oh, for God's sake.
We've done any work with the car, boys. We've got 3 hours left.
Yeah, we got the sticky tape and the cotton balls out.
Yeah, it's fine.
Shit, what do we got to do for the floor? Quick, you know that jet ski?
So,
the bottom of
someone
that.
pipes up. I watched The Living Daylights, the old Timothy Dalton James Bond film. He's got an outrigger on his Aston Martin before he blows it up.
If it's good enough for his Aston Martin, then it's good enough for our Williams.
And then he uses a cello case after that.
We'd probably go better than that, than the Williams. The whole cello case.
Flat surfaces seem to be aerodynamic. I like that philosophy. Let's run with
And
it.
then their head engineer walks in and goes, I believe in a flat earth.
Explains everything.
There's the Williams philosophy right there. Cheap and nasty. Ripping off a James Bond film.
Yeah, you can see why they still haven't changed the screen in their car to the steering wheel. Like, what are they doing? Like,
The engineer.
they're just doing nothing in the off-season. Like,
It's break time.
they're having a holiday.
Having a holiday. Everyone else is working on the car. Wait.
How does
Wait.
everyone's car getting so much better? What do
You
they
guys-
do in the holidays?
You guys work in the off season? Screw that. I'm going to Paris. I'm going to the French Alps for like 3
We're going
weeks.
to the O2 to see the Foo Fighters.
Yeah. Got better things to do than work on the car. Yeah, work on the car.
Christmas break.
Work on the car. It's all you ever hear from you.
Why are you working on the car during the winter? It's not like we can test drive it or anything. It's snowing outside.
It's snowing outside. Why do you think we haven't tested the car?
I suppose it could be worse. I mean, look at the Ferrari. I mean,
Have they developed snow Pirelli tyres, have they? I haven't seen any. Silly. Working in the off-season. Pah!
they've got sand tyres for Bahrain.
I'm
They
going
clear
to-
off 1.6 litres of sand off the track as they go around.
I'm going to Ibiza. You can work on the car.
What, you're going to have a pizza. You're going to Spain.
Going to Spain. Well, we went to Spain.
did go to Spain.
Oh, God. Yes, we just sat through. Oh, look, fuck it. I'm just going to word it the way I really want to word it. We just endured the
Correct.
Spanish F1. Honestly, that's what now. What 4 races in a row that were boring.
Yeah, they haven't been. No, Monaco was alright.
Monaco's the only
yeah.
one that's been alright, in my opinion. It's the only one that brought anything that was a little bit.
Because it rained.
And you can still argue most of that race was boring, but like,
The
I'm
last
still going to
30
give
laps.
that a good. I'm still going to say that a good race. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like, you can't.
If I had to pick a race to watch again in its entirety of the last 4 races, I'm watching Monaco again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so would I. And I'd watch qualifying with it
Yeah.
absolutely.
because Monaco's that package. You get some excitement in the
Well,
qualifying.
Yeah. Which is hilarious because we just went from a track with no overtaking, historically. This race had 107 overtakes.
And it was the most.
And we're
boring
still sitting here like that was
overtakes
boring
ever.
as shit.
Oh well, it's like we discussed earlier. I don't know if we'll go through it now or later, but I don't know. If, like you said, on paper, 107 overtakes, you'd be like, "Oh, the race must be great."
It's
But then
like,
you
hell
watch
yeah.
it and you're like, "Eh."
It
How many
wasn't-
How many of the same overtake can I watch 107 times?
Yeah.
Them overtake at the end of the pit straight.
It was
with
107 identical
DRS.
overtakes.
Like, how many times do I have to watch that to be like,
Yeah.
I'm not excited.
Yeah. Depends on what you want to watch, though. You get to like, oh, what 2 cars do you want? Do you want to watch the Red Bull going past the Aston Martin, or do you want to watch the Haas going past the Alfa Romeo?
Yeah.
And
They're all identical.
the thing was, most of the overtakes were the lesser teams.
Yeah,
Because
still
clearly
battles at
it-
the back.
Because it wasn't Max Verstappen. He just skated off into the distance, and the McLarens and the Ferraris went backwards.
Yes, they do.
You know?
Yeah.
But before we get into the F1, we need to talk about the F2 review.
That's right. We did have another race to endure this weekend.
Honestly, from the viewpoint of the highlights, the F2 race looked more interesting than the F1 race.
Yeah.
It was still mostly the same thing. An overtake at the end of the
Prob-
pit straight.
It was probably because we watched the highlights of the whole 34 laps or whatever. it was.
37 laps, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. We did only just watch the highlights, so I've only really got the results for you guys because by watching the highlights, there really wasn't much going on either. It was just pretty much the same overtakes you see in Formula 1. The end of the pit straight, DRS, into turn 1. See you later. That's all we got. So we'll start with quali. We had Oliver Bearman, the Englishman, take pole. In second, we had Enzo Fittipaldi. Third, young Aussie Jack Doohan. Fourth, Ayumu Iwasa. Fifth, Teo Pourchaire. Sixth, Dennis Hauger. Seventh, Victor Martins. Eighth, Frederick Vesti. Ninth, Jack Crawford. And 10, Amri Cordial, which moves us to our sprint race, where we had championship leader Frederick Vesti take it out to extend his lead at the top. Extend it ahead of who came second, Teo Pourchaire. So it's a tight battle between these two at the moment in the championship race, which is interesting to watch. In third was Victor Martins. Fourth, Dennis Hauger. Fifth, Jack Doohan. Sixth, Richard Verschoor. Seventh, Oliver Bearman. Eighth, Ayumu Iwasa. Ninth, Arthur Leclerc. 10th, Enzo Fittipaldi. And then that moves us to our feature race, where we had a winner for the second time, Englishman Oliver Bearman, who races for the same team as Frederick Vesti's Prema Racing. So
Yeah.
they're going pretty well at the top of the constructors this year in F2 so far. In second, we have Enzo Fittipaldi. And around out the podium places, we have Victor Martins. Then we have fourth, Ayumu Iwasa. Fifth, Frederick Vesti. Sixth, Jack Doohan. Seventh, Teo Pourchaire. Eighth, Dennis Hauger. Ninth, Arthur Leclerc. 10th, Richard Verschoor. And that is the F2 report.
I still stand by the thing that I think the F2 was probably more exciting than the F1 this weekend.
It probably was.
It probably was. If you wanted to go back and watch both races,
But
it probably was.
that's the saddest thing about it is if you watch the highlights of the F2, the highlights of the F1, and the highlights in the IndyCar. The IndyCar is probably the most exciting race to watch out of all three of them.
IndyCar has been kicking Formula One's ass in terms of like entertainment value. Like the Indy 500 last week was brilliant, dramatic till the last lap. The Detroit Grand Prix, I watched the highlights at lunch today, was brilliant and dramatic until the last lap. Like, and Formula One's just not.
And I think another reason why F2 is probably exciting is the same thing as IndyCar, is it sort of throws up the drivers at the top
Yeah.
a lot. So you might have like a couple of guys that are always up there, but it's different every week.
F2
it's
is
not
a
just
spec
one
series
guy
too.
driving. Yeah, it's just not one guy driving away with it.
No.
It comes down to the drivers a bit more. So it makes that a bit more interesting because any guy could have a good race day and all of a sudden they're fighting for a podium and you're like, well, how cool is this? I get to see this guy fight for a podium, or rather than just watching Max run away with it.
I do find watching the F2 and even the IndyCar is that the drivers are willing to do more. They seem
They're
willing
willing
to take more
risks, yeah.
Whereas with Formula One, it just seems to be
We're just trying to consolidate points here. Don't
Yeah.
like
Yeah, we're being
yeah,
safe.
it's like
Everything's
we're
safe.
we're in a good position, so just don't take any risks and
Save your tyres, save this, save that. It's never like balls to the wall.
Yeah,
It's forever
not.
save your energy, save your battery. It's like, gosh, isn't it meant to be the pinnacle, Formula One, like balls to the walls every lap?
it was at
Well,
one stage.
Well, we'll get into this a bit after the F1 report, but we're going to do the F1 report now with JB.
Yeah, well, look, I didn't watch the race initially, so I've done the notes a little bit differently this time. Even though I have watched the full Grand Prix now and was forced to endure that. So I've done my notes a little bit differently than usual. So, the 2023 Spanish Grand Prix from Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Max Verstappen starts on pole position alongside Ferrari's Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris hits Lewis Hamilton from behind as the Mercedes is checked up by Sainz's Ferrari. Lando's broken front wing seeing him pit on lap 2 and ultimately finishing 17th in a painful afternoon for both him and the team. George Russell made up 9 positions on the day to finish on the podium whilst holding off Sergio Perez, although he took to the escape road at turn 1 and 2 chicane on the first lap and escaped punishment for it, which people have raised questions about, but I don't think any action was warranted. Lewis Hamilton was voted driver of the day after a strong second place finish. The Mercedes upgrade package that was on the car and muted in Monaco was now in absolute full effect in the higher speed Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. Carlos Sainz finished 5th for Ferrari while his teammate Charles Leclerc finished 11th. 1 second away from a World Championship point despite starting from the pit lane after Ferrari replaced some components in the rear third of his car after qualifying. Yuki Tsunoda lost his 9th place finish after he was handed a 5-second time penalty for forcing Zhou Guanyu off the track. Controversially, it must be said, I didn't have a problem with it at the time.
I
but
think Zoe was playing it too safe.
yeah, I think it
opinion.
was too. Oscar Piastri couldn't convert his P10 start from qualifying into anything decent in the race, finishing 13th and missing out on the points in another all-for-nothing afternoon for McLaren. Sergio Perez finished 4th after his qualifying mistake saw him start 11th, making moves in a race that saw 107 overtakes but was somehow still boring. The Aston Martins seemed mortal in comparison to what they were a week ago, and indeed for the majority of the season, Fernando Alonso finishing 7th and Lance Stroll finishing 6th. And Max Verstappen takes his 3rd career Grand Slam and 40th career victory, starting from pole, leading every lap of the race and claiming the fastest lap of the race in winning by 24 seconds over Lewis Hamilton. Max is now 1 win behind Ayrton Senna all time. And that's it. That's the F1 report.
Jesus. Well, I'm going to be straight with you. I didn't pick any key drivers.
Yeah,
The Mercedes were good. And the
I'd
Aston
give him that,
Martins were mortal, really.
The sad thing about it is watching Carlos Sainz going backwards. And he had the Ferrari that was upgraded. Because the new Ferrari upgrade is they got rid of that Coke bottle shape of aerodynamics.
Yeah,
and
it's
now
wider at the back and the scoops along the side pods are like out.
Yeah,
It's the Red Bull shit.
Yeah,
They've
despite the
taken
fact
the
they
Red
sat
Bull
there and said they weren't going to change concept and weren't going to copy the Red Bull, and then they ended up copying the Red Bull.
Yeah.
They're just there or thereabouts at the moment, Ferrari.
I don't know if it's any faster or any...
No,
any-
well...
I mean, Carlos, what? He started 2nd and he finished 5th?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe
And
not. Then.
But what was really funny with Carlos Sainz this time was that the team was trying to tell him you need to pick up the pace, and he's sitting there going, no, the pace is good.
Their communication just never seems to be on par, eh? Like
No.
with Ferrari, it's either normally it's the strategist can't get anything right, and the drivers are frustrated. And then today, it's the strategy's getting it right, and the driver's like, "No, I'm doing good." It's like
Carlos Sainz is like, oh, the pace is good. It's like, yeah, but Lewis is catching you. Like, we can see that Lewis is catching you.
yeah,
And he's like, no, you're full of shit. Yeah. It's like, no, we're actually right this time, man. You need to like pick up your pace.
Yeah. It's mind-boggling what's going on there.
It's just
it's
crazy.
been Ferrari for the last. As far as
Hey,
I know,
look,
it's
yeah,
been
look.
Ferrari forever. Yeah.
Carlos Sainz had the upgrade and started second and finished fifth. Charles Leclerc didn't have the upgrade. He started 19th and finished 11th. So, what? There's more confusion in Maranello. It's like, well, what's the right philosophy then? Because Carlos went backwards against the faster cars, but Charles Leclerc went forwards against the slower cars. So what do we do? It's still a flip of the coin now?
Well, Carlos Sainz actually said post-race that Spain is the worst track because it highlights everything that's in a weakness in your car.
Except the Red Bulls.
Except the Red Bulls, yeah.
Well, the McLarens actually had a strength there, high-speed corners, which is why Lando qualified third. And well, I think had he not lost his front wing on lap one, I reckon he still finishes in the top 10.
Oh, look, he finishes in the top 10, but not in the top 5.
No.
He
I'm
probably
not,
finishes where Ocon or
I'm not expecting
Zhao
miracles.
is.
I reckon 9th or 10th he would have just held on. But yeah, look, it's just one of those tracks where
I mean, even like we were excited about them getting rid of the chicane and keeping that corner. It did nothing.
it did.
I mean, in qualifying and practice, it sent cars spinning off or whatever.
I mean, it still produced. I don't know how many overtakes were in last year's Spanish Grand Prix, but there was 107 overtakes. It produced the better racing that.
the problem is there's just only
But
one
it-
or two spots to overtake in this race.
But it
That's
wasn't. And as Crofty said, there was 107 overtakes, but none of them with the lead.
Yeah.
So that's sort of.
None of them were for anything,
But I mean,
really.
George
they were
Ru-
all back markers mostly.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, Charles Leclerc gained 10 spots. Charles Leclerc gained 8 spots. George Russell gained 9 spots. Sergio Perez started 11th and finished 4th. Like, there were plenty of cars moving through the field.
Yeah.
It's just because Max was 24 seconds out in front that it didn't feel like anything was happening.
Well, they said it. The commentators said it themselves. They said, "We've got one Grand Prix at the front of Max Verstappen, and then in the other Grand Prix, which is
Yeah.
basically every other car,
Everyone else.
we've got this going on." And it's
Yeah.
like, that's exactly how it is at the moment. Max Verstappen's in his own league,
Yeah.
and then there's everyone else.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I think the only real big highlights of the race was on the first corner when Lando Norris got his front wing taken off with a little bit of a bump from Lewis Hamilton.
You say highlight. I say
Low light. Yeah.
you say potato. I say potato.
We had Zhou trying to overtake Yuki Tsunoda,
Yeah.
and then
Well,
Yeah,
cut
that-
off.
let's talk about
That
this.
was probably the most controversial. That and that George Russell took to the escape road on lap 1 that no one really brought it up.
Or the other
Yeah.
really controversial moment was Ocon trying to block Alonso.
Yeah,
That wasn't controversial. That was part of the course.
That was just Ocon being
Yeah, but
Ocon.
it was Ocon.
Ocon hasn't been close enough to Fernando this year to like try and fuck with him.
Yeah, but Ocon.
At least they're not in the same car this year.
Ocon moved twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Fernando got him pretty easy. I wasn't against that.
That would have been scary though. At the 11th hour, having Ocon do what Ocon does best, which is the dumbest fucking thing on earth.
Yeah.
Just swerve at you.
Yeah,
Yeah, look.
like it's almost like you learned to drive from Lance Stroll.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah, but that move where Zhou Guanyu went to make on Tsunoda.
Tsunoda, yeah. Look, that was...
I think he played it too safe. I think Zhou
You
had
played it
room
safe,
there.
and Tsunoda still got the penalty. Like, there was a car's width there.
Yeah, I think that was unfair, that penalty.
If Zoe had kept turning, had done a Max Verstappen and actually just was a bit more ballsy about it,
Yeah.
and kept his car there, Yuki Tsunoda would have had no choice but to, like, turn in more, and he probably would have got the position had he stayed there.
I think so, yeah.
But he just played it super safe.
And then went off and just complained on the radio. That's what it feels like Formula One's becoming. It's like, in soccer, when the diving started coming in, and it started being playing for free kicks.
Yeah.
It almost feels like that's what Formula One's becoming with the safety. Everyone's trying to be safe because you don't want to be the one that causes any damage and ruins your race.
Yeah.
Fair enough, I get it. But now it just seems to be you play it safe and then you whinge over the radio and get the FIA to do something about it, to give you your places back or penalties, and it's like, it's not what I want to see in racing.
It's not. I mean, I'll be honest, we haven't seen it too much this year. That's the first incident where it looks like a bit of playing possum.
Yeah,
got the result that Zhou Guanyu wanted, but
yeah. But even though with Norris and Hamilton, I'm not going to get on too much, but I feel like Norris could have been more aggressive. I feel like he could have tried to hold that spot instead of yielding to Hamilton.
Yeah, he knew it wasn't his fight, but at least for the first lap.
But isn't that a kind of a problem where, we're starting a race and everyone already knows where their fight is and it's not at the top?
Yeah,
if
Max
Verstappen's
Verstappen's coming from the back of the grid,
we want to go on a race with every driver feeling like, I've got a chance to win this today.
Yeah.
And I feel like we were talking about this earlier, the way it's set up at the moment, unless you went to a spec series, which I don't think is going to happen in Formula 1, you need to throw in other things to create more strategy, as we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
Shall we talk about that now?
Well, look, you want to talk about spec series now that everyone's copied Red Bull's Coke bottle design for the top arrow.
Slowly every car's going to become the same.
And now everybody's seeing the underfloor of the Red Bull after Monaco, and they're all going to be copying that.
Yeah.
So soon enough, you'll have a grid full of spec series, and hopefully Williams realise that
you got to do
they
something.
can put Venturi tunnels on their underfloor if you want to.
Yeah.
I still maintain the biggest thing that has hurt Formula One was Toto Wolff complaining about the porpoising, and then they're changing the rules.
Changing the floor.
Once they changed the rules on to do with the ride height, you've just handed the title to Red Bull for the next couple of years, which is a shame because the new rules were meant to bring racing back.
Competitive racing, yeah.
And
competition.
Now that they've changed it, you might as well go back to what we were running 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, back to the Mercedes dominance.
It's ridiculous. I kind of think maybe they need to strip the cars all the way back to 1990s aero.
Yeah.
But
just basic stuff, hey?
You pointed out before, and I kind of forgot for a second there, but I'm glad we're sort of circling back to it. Like, races now are, got to save the tyres, got to save the battery, save the engine.
Yeah. Your battle's not with him. Let him pass.
I miss the days in the 90s where every race they had another engine.
Yep.
And they had to refuel. So when they had refueling, because that became a strategy, because as the car got lighter, it got faster. Then the tyres factored into the strategy as well as the fuel.
Yeah, more to think about. Yep.
And the drivers were able to just turn the wick up, turn the engine up to 11 and go. And it either blew up or you won a race.
Or you crashed.
Yeah.
Because you pushed it to the limit.
And
push it to the limit.
But nowadays it's so, we've got to protect this, we've got to protect that. And I just feel like it's...
Because they're trying to save money. You can't have 10 engines in a Grand Prix weekend.
Yeah, that's the problem. I feel like maybe the whole cost cap thing was to bring competitiveness in, but it doesn't feel like it is.
They used to have a practice engine, a qualifying engine, and a race engine. They'd have they change the engine between qualifying and the race. They just have one engine for qualifying, just burn the shit out of it, and that's it. And you wouldn't use that engine again for the rest of the year.
See, I think that's a bit too far, but this whole having to make engines last for 5 races.
They need to up the engine limit to 6 or 7 a year.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, let them go balls to the wall with engines.
Yeah,
not like they used to, like you're saying, where you had one for quali, one for I'm not saying 8 engines a race, no. But yeah, one engine should go for 2 to 3 races most. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what about 2 races? Like,
Yeah,
what about,
every 2 races.
Well, what is
They
it?
change-
There's 23, 24 races. So
They got to do
12
something
engines.
though. They got to do something though to get them to turn the engine up and actually drive it to the limit of the car.
And they've got to, I reckon they've got to throw in more obstacles for them to build strategy around. We were talking earlier, and the commentary team actually talked about it, was maybe limit DRS to 100 seconds.
Yeah.
And I reckon instead of it just being in zones, you just get 100
Yeah.
seconds of DRS to use whenever
Yeah,
you want. So
you
then
can
it
use
becomes the
DRS
driver's strategy to use that.
Yeah. IndyCar's got it. IndyCar's got the push to pass button.
And because we were talking about it before we went on the air, and I came up with the idea of, pardon me, I came up with the idea of when you pit, you get your 100 seconds put back on.
Yes, which adds another strategy element. You can
Yeah.
decide to pit again to maybe get your DRS back up, or
Yes.
you know, we
your
need this. I
DRS.
feel like in this sport at the moment, just to throw some different things out there and give
Yeah.
lower teams a chance to throw some kind of strategy up that works and gets them up the grid.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
also think for the bottom 5 teams, mid-season testing should be reintroduced.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
You know?
Yeah.
Because
They need to try something, because this whole concept of your only strategy is you literally got to basically work out your tyres,
yeah,
which we can all work out as we're watching it.
Mediums to
Like,
hards.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Easy.
you're paying these strategy. I mean, Ferrari probably struggle if you throw more at them, but you know, you're paying these teams have got such big staff on hand and crew, like all this going into it, and it's like there doesn't feel like there's any strategy anymore.
Yeah, what do you do?
Except,
What are we doing?
do we go on hard, or is it raining? Oh, okay, maybe we're going intermediate. Like,
or
It's
it'll
like,
be in
it's like
Bahrain.
ask Max Verstappen how the tyres feel.
yeah,
Yeah, they're shit. Okay, come in, we'll put hards on. Okay.
fastest lap, fastest lap,
Two-
fastest lap.
2 second pit stop. What's the strategy? That was the strategy.
That's
Go
it.
sit
Yeah,
down.
we did it. We called it. He's gonna
I
be on
love
these
the pit.
tyres
I
now.
love like the in garage thing of the pit crew. Like they run it, they do, and then they sit down and like, oh, it's done. They just sit there for the whole race. They look exhausted for the 3 seconds of work they did. Although, to be fair, it was a pretty intense 3 seconds.
It is, but
But I mean, I wouldn't mind if they brought in another tyre manufacturer and we had a tyre war again.
Bring back Bridgestone.
make 2 pit stops mandatory.
Well,
like
you-
just throw something else
Well,
in.
a couple of years ago, Pirelli, the tyre tender came up.
Yeah.
And Pirelli said they'd like to do the tyre thing, but they want to be the only supplier. Michelin was interested, but Michelin said, we don't want to supply the entire grid. We want a tyre war. We want to compete against another tyre manufacturer.
Yeah.
And instead they sided with Pirelli and went, oh no, we want one tyre for everyone. It's not fucking Lord of the Rings. It's not one tyre to rule them all.
Yeah, but then,
You know,
God forbid you ever have a 2005 US Grand Prix situation
Yeah,
again.
that's what they're trying to avoid.
Oh, I get that. But if you put certain tolerances in and say, you know, if they do this or do that, then that's illegal. They got to be to this spec.
Yeah.
Then you've got more options on what you can do, and it's not just Max Verstappen hooning off in the distance.
It still probably would be, but at least he'd have to think about it.
Yeah, you'd have to do a bit more. There'd be a bit
He-
more
he
in his
wouldn't-
way.
He,
A
he
bit more
wouldn't
in his
be,
way.
He wouldn't be Sacha Baron Cohen in Talladega Nights reading a newspaper and sipping on a cup of tea 30 seconds in the lead while listening to classical music. He'd have to be like, would you be Max Verstappen's in the lead by 30 seconds, and you've also given him 100 seconds of freedom. So he's just like, well, I might as well just use this. Max Verstappen's winning by 2 laps now.
Imagine that, like a fantasy world, right? We apply all the rules we said, everything we've talked about, they apply, and Max now wins by a minute.
Yeah, Max is just like, Max
The
is
same
just
thing
like,
happens in the race. Except Max now wins by a minute. We're
Yeah.
just like,
He's just like, I got 100 seconds of free DRS even though there's no one in front of me. How good is this?
But the big debate about they should bring back refueling at pit stops, I totally agree.
IndyCar can do it. Formula One can do it. I don't
100%.
understand why Formula
again,
One's...
they're being safe. That's why they
I
don't
don't
want to do it.
understand why Formula One's so scared about it. Like, every motorsport discipline in the world, except MotoGP, does refueling. Fucking Bush League Supercars does refueling. IndyCar does refueling. NASCAR does refueling. World Endurance Championship does refueling. Why is Formula One so scared to go back to refueling? You can have a well, you can have 100 kilos of fuel, but you can stagnate it. It's like, instead of having 100 kilos of fuel from the start of the race, 110 kilos,
I'm going to start with 30.
you can start with 60 and then put the other 40 in.
Yeah.
But try and figure out that there could be safety cars. You might not have to use the full 110 kilos of fuel.
Well, I think they should.
Well, it's no different to winning behind a safety car because you get the pit right.
Yeah.
Like, it's no different to... there's luck in Formula One. Like, it's no
Every
different than...
motorsport discipline in the world uses refueling. Why is the pinnacle of motorsport, as they are, so afraid of going back to refueling?
So
it's
afraid
like
of anything.
It's not even a money issue. Like, you don't have to give them any more fuel than they've already got. 110 kilos in the big silver drum.
They can just use it how they need to use it. You get
Yeah,
100
it's
kilos,
just,
you get
it's
100,
not
that's
it's
it.
not all in the car at the start, or maybe it is.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to refuel. Maybe you can be the heaviest car on the grid from the start and decide
But you
to
save
not,
time on your pit stop.
and
It
decide not
adds
to refuel. And that's an option.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh, we're on the softs. Give me 40 litres of fuel for the start, and then I can run down the hards with the other 60, 70 litres.
Yeah, like as long as they got a drum with 110 litres or 110 kilos of fuel in it,
Yep.
it's up to them
How
how
they
they
use
use
it.
it.
Yep.
It's called strategy.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it worked in the 90s, and it worked in the early 2000s, and it worked. It worked. When did they ban refueling?
Oh, God, that must have been, what, 2010, 2011?
Vettel's
Somewhere
era.
in- Yeah.
Formula One has been racing since 1950, so it worked for
Years.
60-odd years. 60 years. It worked for 60 years. And then all of a sudden, some genius is like, no, we're just going to ban refueling.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at
What is the harm of bringing it back? Like, make those pit crews work.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, how many championships have been decided over really good strategy calls involving tyres and petrol?
When's the last time you had someone... you get it occasionally, but I'm not talking like a 2014 Jamie Whincup here. But when's the last time you had someone on the radio begging for someone to please save fuel? Please save fuel, we're not going to make it to the end, please save fuel. Like,
Yeah.
that...
The last time I heard it in Formula One was when McLaren had Honda and Fernando Alonso was struggling.
Yeah.
And they were on the blower saying, you need to save petrol. And then he started ranting his GP2 engine bullshit.
He wasn't saving petrol, he was saving the engine that was about to explode. The petrol was fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but... you don't hear it anymore. It's just like...
We just need more strategic obstacles for these teams to overcome to make this more interesting, to
you
make
can have
this more
splash
competitive.
and dashes
you know?
at the end.
Like you
Like
said,
Bathurst.
I'd love to see that. You know, like you said, one
Like,
team
oh shit,
goes
I don't think I'm going to
long,
make it.
one team goes long with their fuel, one goes short, and
Yeah.
and you know stuff like that. And,
And then people start getting nervous with the pit wall that their driver's not going to make it. They're going to bring him in for a 30-second stop for fuel.
yeah, and anyone wants to be like, oh, but then they might have to save fuel. We're already saving everything in the race anyway.
Yeah.
We're saving tyres, battery, like. Just throw something else out there.
It's
just,
not more, and my thing is not more fuel. It's the same amount of fuel.
exactly.
It's
They
just,
just get to deploy it
it's
as
just you
they
get
wish.
to deploy it how you wish.
Yeah.
It's still 110 kilos of fuel.
Well, I mean, they asked Christian Horner, and he said, because it's more expensive to do it that way.
Is it?
Well, I'm
If
sorry.
your car goes out for a 3-lap run in qualifying and comes back in, what are you doing to that car?
Well-
You have to refuel the fucking thing. You're still refueling it in the fucking garage. All
Yeah,
you're doing
exactly.
is dragging the thing
All we
from
need
the
to do-
back of the garage to the front of the garage.
It's going to extend the hose out to the pit wall.
Except you have to up the pressure on it so it actually
Yeah.
pumps fuel.
You got to make
faster
sure
than
you
what
don't
a
click
fuel
on the
does.
diesel Bowser.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've
Oof.
got to
That's
pick
a-
which
that's a-
one.
that's a
make
sore
sure.
point.
You know.
Not for me. That was a sore point for the camping trip we did about 5 years ago.
Oh, what happens? Spill the
Where
beans.
we were driving down to Roma, and with our mate Joe, pulled up an Emerald, and I was like, "Oh, I got to fill up the diesel." I went to the BP, and I'm like, "Yeah, it's the one with the black ring on top." And he's grabbed the yellow, which is the unleaded 91,
Oh.
and we've made it past Rollston, and the car starts spluttering.
Oh my
And we
god!
were stuck on the side of the road in.
So it chucked
between-
it for a while though, to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we were stuck on the side of the road between Rollston and where the fuck the next town was on the side of the highway, and it was -5, I think, the first night. So we're just sleeping out there, sleeping bags on our -5. Trucks are going past. We were there for 18 hours until the tow truck rocked up, and he's like, "What's wrong with it?" And he pulls the fuel line off, and it's unleaded in a diesel. And it's like, for about 5 minutes, you would have had the cleanest injectors in the world.
Yeah.
But now you've melted it. So, yeah, that happened. So that was an adventure.
That's all right. My dad did the same thing with his van.
Yeah.
He ran a diesel and he put petrol in it by accident. And he's sitting there going, I don't know what I did.
Yeah.
And then he took it to the mechanic and they're like, mate, you put petrol in it.
It's
And he
like,
goes,
that smells like fuel.
Yeah.
Well, that was actually noted. He's like, it smells like unleaded, but I can't be sure. And then 5 kilometers later, it dies on the downhill. So that was that. Anyway, don't bring up unleaded fuel.
But
There we go. We do that. We in the race, not only do they have to refuel, but they have to pick out the right one.
Hey,
so we
look.
have fuel next to it, you know what I mean? So the
What
pit crew
better
can
way-
make a mistake and accidentally put unleaded in the car and stuff their race up.
yeah, fuel made
What-
by Pirelli.
Yeah.
So
What
some
better
fuel,
way to
some fuel
advertise-
burns better than other fuel. Some fuel lasts a long time but doesn't burn as well.
Run to the Bowser. It's like, does he want to use Petronas, or do we want to use Shell? Do we want to use
Ramco.
Mobil? Ramco? What better way to advertise your carbon neutral synth fuel that you're going to be using in 2030 by actively refueling the fucking cars?
Yeah.
Now the
Like-
synth fuel comes in 2026 with the new engine regs.
By refueling your fucking cars.
Yes.
Just do it. You're right. The sport needs a radical shake-up.
It needs to be. We've watched too many years of just dominance. We've gone through the first round of Red Bull to Mercedes. Now we're going through it again with Red Bull. How long are we going to do this for?
When was
until we
the,
go,
when
we
was
need
the
to change
pinnacle of
something?
Formula One? Late 90s?
Yeah, late 90s,
Yeah.
early 2000s.
Go back to that.
Yeah.
What worked
What
in the late
worked?
90s?
Now, look, I get it.
Refueling and
We're-
strategy
yeah,
calls.
that's
Bring
right.
back V10 engines and,
We
like...
can't have V10
No,
engines.
we're not allowed to have
but-
that. But, like, yeah.
What
Change
if-
something.
Hang on. What if they're V10 hybrids?
Yes.
Eh?
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 Electrically
Eh?
powered V10. Well, I mean,
Eh?
look,
Eh?
yes.
Bring back your beloved
Yes.
BMW?
Yeah,
Eh?
but,
Eh?
Eh?
but,
Eh?
but,
Eh?
but.
Eh?
They actually did say the V8 engine that we had in 2013 was actually cheaper to run than a hybrid engine. But that's not you know what the thing is now. We're all
It's all
going
carbon
hybrid,
neutral,
We're
it's
all
all-
going
yeah.
carbon neutral. And they're on the way. They've got the synthetic fuel coming. They're getting rid of the heat unit in 2026.
Yeah.
The engines will get better. The electrical power will go up a bit.
I'd like to know if any of the teams in 2026 are going to be using United fuel.
Maybe.
You know,
Shelf. BP.
like
Maybe Williams at the back.
you know, United E10
Puma fuel. Puma.
Ampol.
Ampol. Well, that's Caltex, so I'm a bit of an Ampol. Actually, I'm not. I'm a BP slut at the moment.
Well, so you got Mercedes uses Petronas,
Yeah.
Red Bull and AlphaTauri use Mobil.
Yep.
Aston Martin is they've got
Aramco.
Aramco, but they're actually using Petronas because that's what's recommended to them by Mercedes.
I assume that's what McLaren does too. They
For-
were using Mobil.
Yeah.
McLaren.
yeah, and then
I don't know. They still are.
yeah, no, they're not. I think they're using Petronas as well.
Yeah.
Ferrari, AlphaTauri.
Hey
Alfa
man,
Romeo-
if it goes down the track of what we want, with 10 teams and 10 works teams,
Yeah.
there are 10 different fuel manufacturers too.
And they should all be
do we have
refueling.
10 different fuel manufacturers in the world?
Look, if Aramco, honestly, if Aramco is the main sponsor of Formula One, they'll probably just dish out the most of it.
Yeah.
Ferrari can stay with Shell.
Monopolise it.
Ferrari can stay with Shell, and if you want a further spec the series or a control, you just have one fuel supply.
Oh, and
Yeah.
wait. Renault, Alpine, they're running Caltex.
Yeah, well,
Ampol.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it'd be cool. It would be cool for 10 engines and 10 different
No.
fuels. And,
It's not Caltex, it's Castrol.
yeah, they're running
Yeah.
Castrol
Yeah.
oils. They have been for
Yeah.
ages.
And their other main sponsor is Microsoft.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks
But-
for that. What's that other sponsor they have?
Well, BWT.
The France government.
Yeah. No, BWT is the water thing.
Yeah.
Used to be like Mapfre or something.
Yeah.
Mapfus.
Because I see that on MotoGP as well. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's still on the Alpine.
Yeah. I just see it everywhere. I don't know what it is.
And then every second team is running Richard Mill,
Yeah.
which is watches.
Except Red Bull was running Tag Heuer.
Yeah.
They were actually. I don't know if they still are.
And,
And McLaren were running Hugo Boss.
yeah. No, they've got Richard Mill on their
Oh,
cars
no,
now
they
too.
changed. They were running Hugo Boss for ages.
Yeah. And Mercedes has got
Tag
police.
Heuer. Tag. Who's running Tag Heuer?
Red Bull.
Yeah.
Red Bull is running Tag Heuer.
Yeah.
And Mercedes is running police.
Police. Yeah. Have they still got the watch on their glove?
Yep.
They do. That's awesome.
Yep.
Anyway, that was a good ramble.
Yeah.
Have we got any news items?
The only news item I've got, because there's nothing in F1, so the only news
It's
item
a very
I've got-
empty weekend. It's just
Yeah.
the race was sort of shit. There's no
Well,
news.
this season has been pretty empty for
I
news.
was just going to
news
say,
items.
this season's felt pretty empty so
it's,
far.
it's like the pre-season was all this explosive stuff, like Andretti saying, "Hey, we want in, and we've signed with Cadillac," and we had Red Bull announce they were partnering with Ford on the same day, and we've had Aston Martin announce they're working with Honda
yeah,
in
we had that
2026,
monster week, that monster off-season.
and
well-
then it just padded out, kind of like the races. It just
That's what I mean. This season's just been very, yeah, like you said,
Yeah.
empty's a good word for it.
Yeah.
It's been enduring
yeah.
already. It's already been enduring. And what race number are we up to? 7?
Race number 7.
Yeah.
It would have been 8 if we had Imola.
Yeah. But it already feels like, we're getting these American races shoved down our face, which aren't very good. I don't know. I honestly feel like the product at the moment isn't getting better. It's just cash grabbing
It's
and not improving.
It feels like the product is being Americanized because of
Yes.
Netflix.
Yes, and it's throwing in all this stuff that no one who actually watches the sport and cares about the sport cares about.
Yeah.
It's just trying to become a giant spectacle, and it's taking away from the actual racing.
we
and
want the
sport.
race.
It's like,
You know what's not a spectacle? Like, at all? IndyCar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You watch an IndyCar race, like, it's very... I watched the Detroit race today. They're, like, racing around... You can't even tell where the start-finish line is. It's, like, it's literally down a road.
Yeah.
And there's, like, a line.
Like, I mean,
And it's like, nothing about IndyCar is flashy. Nothing about it is... Besides the Indy 500, but that's the same.
but I mean, watching like even the qualifying highlights of the Detroit IndyCar race,
Yeah.
you can't even see where the crowd is. It doesn't even look like there is a crowd there.
I'm not even sure there was. I'm pretty sure they just shut off a bunch of streets and just let rip. And people are just going about their everyday lives in the sun. They probably didn't even know they were there until the street was shut. Like,
Yeah,
going on?
how come I can't get through
Yeah,
here?
that was like, it was genuinely weird. There was like no like grandstands or.
It is a strange track, that Detroit one,
It
hey?
was a very strange track, but I mean, there's no spectacle at IndyCar, and yet they are putting on such good races, such dramatic races. Like it's
a better
not,
watch.
It's not up itself. It knows what it's trying to be.
Yup.
Formula One's just trying to be this spectacle,
And
and
they
trying
just
to appeal to the American market.
Yeah, and they're just like, well,
So
we
they
know
can
we're the
sell supercars
pinnacle.
in America.
Everyone thinks we're the pinnacle. They feel like we'll never fall off the mantle. And I'm like, you can't be that reassured on yourself. Sure, you are the pinnacle. But if you don't adapt
Yeah,
and others do around
It's
you,
like the
you're not
UFC.
glued there forever.
Yeah, I was
like the
just
UFC went from about the fighting to this big fucking spectacle.
Yep.
Conor McGregor, la la la. Every billboard in America's got Conor McGregor on it. You know, they've got the big screens. We've got new intros. We've got fucking everything. UFC's just this big showboating party. But it's taken away from what it was. It's just two dudes just trying to fight. And, you know, now it's all about who can make the most money. How many super fights? How many champs can we get?
Yeah. Well, how was it? The
Because, oh, wow,
banner,
we had
what's that
the-
freaking
the-
belt
yeah,
they made up? The
BMF belt.
cringe belt or
The
whatever it
cringe
is.
belt. They're
Oh,
bringing it back,
yeah,
too.
it's gross.
The Rock's going to introduce it like he did the first time. I'm just like, I just want to
Becoming a Fast and Furious.
I just want to watch them fight. Like, man, the days of Chuck Liddell and
The good days.
the good days.
Or even before that, like I've got
Pride.
I've got somewhere around here the DVD of UFC 1.
Yeah.
UFC 1, where no one knew what they were going to do. It was it was martial art versus martial art. And, like, I mean, the very first fight was a Savate, which is French kickboxing. A Savate champion versus a sumo.
Yeah.
And, like, the sumo guy was on the ground. And the Savate guy was waiting for him to get up. And the referee's like, you going to hit him or what? Like, fuck him up, mate.
The Savant guy just kicked him.
Kicked him in the face and ended up with a tooth buried in his foot.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal.
And
it was like Fridays.
And it was a tournament.
Yeah.
So he still had to fight 2 more times, having had a tooth pulled out of his foot.
And that's it, man. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and nothing will ever top Pride.
And I mean,
Yeah.
the same pay-per-view, like you had a boxing intercontinental champion taking on Hoist fucking Gracie,
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu master.
Yeah, the boxing guy with one glove on.
Yeah, he had a glove on. You're like, you dumb bastard. The best fight on the entire card that night was Hoist Gracie versus Ken Shamrock because they were both shoot fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was the epitome of martial art versus martial art.
Yeah, it was bare bones. It was,
And sure,
and that's what IndyCar is. And now Formula One is sort of like present day UFC, where it just wants to be, it wants to be the showpiece. And look, it is, but
That's the problem you take away from the sport. So UFC was at its greatest and it got popular because it was about fighting. That's what it was about first.
yeah,
Then, like you said, it's become about the spectacle over
Now
the
it's-
fighting.
now it's jab,
so it
jabs and
dampens
fucking-
the product, but it's because it's already got sort of a monopoly at the moment. It feels like it's there.
yeah,
Until something else comes along where the product is better because it's about the sport,
yeah,
it gets better than it. F1's the same. We've now gone through this, these last however many years of
yeah,
what the product we're getting is, and it's still the pinnacle.
yeah.
But it won't last forever if they don't adapt and make the sport more important than the spectacle. Like they've made it, they're trying to
The
make the
presentation
spectacle
now
more
is
important.
It's as good as it's ever been, presentation wise.
Yeah,
It's brilliant,
but the racing is
but
as
the racing
worse
is,
as it's ever
is
been.
the worst. Yeah, basically.
Basically, it is.
Yeah, I mean-
sorry to interrupt. The sport analogy I was going with it is modern UFC is what F1 is now. IndyCar feels like Muay Thai, like watching a Muay Thai fight.
yeah.
You know,
It's bare bones, it's basic, but it's exciting as hell.
or watching F1 is like watching a Floyd Mayweather show, boxing show,
Yeah,
as opposed to watching a Tim Tszyu fight, which is IndyCar.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing. Because at the end of the day, the sport is the spectacle.
yeah.
Yeah, the
No one
sport-
tunes in to watch the extra part of Formula One. No one
I don't
cares
tune
about
in
the
to watch
opening
Max
ceremony.
Verstappen wear a gridiron helmet into fucking Hard Rock Stadium.
We watch
Yeah.
from the formation lap till it finishes.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
everyone
That's
watches.
what we do.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what we do, but everyone else
what-
wants to see Max Verstappen put a gridiron helmet on and fucking walk into Hard
yeah,
Rock Stadium.
we want to watch from bell to bell.
Yeah. That's because that's the spectacle. That is the product.
That's
what matters.
That's what you should be selling.
Yes.
Not the everything around it. Not the wrapping paper and the bow and everything that
Lewis
goes around
Hamilton is eco-friendly fucking tuxedo with no shirt on.
it. Yeah, I mean,
And look, it's
or
great
that
to have
garbage
good-
bag that he was
it's
wearing the other
great
day.
that they're showing personality and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, I want to watch racing on track.
That's what the product
I want to
is.
watch intense racing. I want to watch
Yes.
100% racing.
That's what keeps the
And that's
product
another
going
thing,
forever.
And that's the thing that IndyCar's got over
Yes.
Formula One. They've still got refueling. They've still got tyres that go off.
Yep.
They're basically a spec series, but there's two different engine suppliers.
Yeah.
So,
But driver
but there are
ability
drivers up
becomes
there
into it
every
more.
week.
Yeah.
Every week there's a new driver at the front, like Will Powers had a resurgence. Joseph Newgarden won the Indianapolis 500 last week. He finished like 8th, I think.
Yeah.
Pato O'Ward crashed out again. But
You got Scotty McLaughlin.
Scotty McLaughlin faded. I can't remember his name. I'll remember.
We haven't had any other team win but Red Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
other team.
Because the variables aren't there.
Exactly. And the problem at the moment is the variables are coming in the presentation, not the sport.
The variable is what lap do you want to pit, 19 or 20?
Literally.
It's going to be a 2-second stop. It doesn't matter.
And then
Just tell me
half
when.
the time, the minute one team does, someone else covers it off, so they do it one later. So it doesn't matter. Like, it's...
Oh, you've gained no ground.
Yeah, we're back to where we were before, because that team covered it off. You know?
And
Like,
we did our mandatory pit stop
Yeah,
and put
the
the
only-
other
yeah,
tyre
what
on.
strategy
The
is
only
these days.
reason you stopped is because we have to.
That's what strategy is these days. It's reacting.
Pirelli can say that the hard tyres can do 50 laps of most circuits. Then what's the race distance of most races? 57, 58 laps.
Yeah.
So you do the first 8 laps on a soft, and then you can go to the end from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What it, like-
Formula One just needs
Needs to throw some
fun.
shake up.
It needs to go back to what it was good at before, which was like refuel. Like, they've taken out all the variables that made it exciting and now have put out just this boring product on track, but they've made everything around it exciting. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't do the exciting things around it, but make sure you don't take it that away
Imagine
from
if
the,
you were
the
doing.
sport.
Imagine if you were doing the spectacle shit, but the racing was like 1999.
Then we're talking the greatest spectacle on earth.
Right?
But
Now it lives up to the fucking hype.
Yeah.
But there is something else that we're overlooking as well. Because, I mean, we're talking about the cars, the spectacle, the tyres, the refueling. If your tracks are shit, it's fucking pointless.
Yeah. Tracks are another
I
problem.
mean, Las Vegas, bullshit track.
We've seen an
Miami.
onboard of that now, thanks to F123.
They had that.
It's not a good track.
They had that fucking Vietnam track that they never actually got to race on.
Yeah,
That was a
but-
bullshit track.
But it was going to be a stinker.
You've got. I'm sorry, but Baku is a bullshit track.
Miami.
Baku just doesn't produce good racing. Neither does Miami.
The next problem is, oh God, I can't believe I'm going to give this fucker airtime. Is they keep letting Herman Tilke involved. The guy is just, it's a fucking compass and a T-square. He designs everything with that shit. What happened to the old tracks where it was organic? Like your Brands Hatches, your Doningtons.
yeah.
You've got tracks like your Monzas, your Spas, even your Zandvoorts,
Yep.
where they're organic.
Yep.
Even old Hockenheim was organic.
They need to bring that one back.
They
We need
can't,
to, we
it's a
need a race.
forest.
Yeah, the forest has taken it.
Oh, they get rid of it.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
The
But
Nordschleifer. Just bring back the Nordschleifer.
You know, the
That's
green hell.
all. Yeah, we'll just watch a couple people die.
That's what Rush got wrong. They called it the graveyard. It wasn't. It was called the green hell.
Yeah, Jackie Stewart called it the green hell.
But, you know, all these tracks, and instead we get these Herman Tilke disaster pieces like fucking Texas, Coda.
I
Coda is...
don't want Coda as a track.
I know, but it's all the best bits from other tracks that he's just fucking glued together.
Coda's produced some alright races, though.
But, I mean, it's not as nice as Canada.
It's not as nice as Istanbul Park.
Yeah, but, I mean, Canada is an amazing track. I
Yeah.
love Canada. That
Yeah.
track is always great for racing.
Well,
Even
I mean,
if
the
it's
drivers
wet.
themselves say the track limit should be defined by dirt and gravel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got, you know, these
Giant
concrete
runoffs.
jungles. Giant runoffs. Thank fuck we don't go to Paul Ricard anymore.
If we had dirt and gravel on this track, do you think Joe would have pulled off so softly?
If
No.
that, if
Or do you
that
think
was,
he would have had to have gone for it?
Yeah.
He would have had to have gone for
He,
it.
Yeah.
he would have had to have hit the picks. He would have had to
Which
have
is
braked.
what is meant to be F1.
Yeah, that's
That's what
right.
it's meant to be. It's meant to be, you see a gap, you go for it. That's
Yeah,
what a
I mean,
driver
well,
does.
what,
you know?
what was that famous Ayrton Senna saying?
If you don't go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yes.
But they keep doing this. Let's get Herman Tilke in to design a new fucking track. And you just sit through and go, why?
Because they want money.
Why?
Because they want eyes on the product.
Get someone else to design it. Stick a crayon up my ass
you
and
know
make me
what?
take a squat over a piece of paper, and I can design something better than Herman Tilke.
Not only is the championship not going to be, you know, anything by the time we get to Vegas, it's not going to be anything by the time we get to fucking Suzuka,
But
Singapore.
I mean, there's another track that was shit. Was Miami.
yeah.
Miami
Yeah.
is a shit track.
Yeah,
It's more.
But the whole fucking thing is we're going to Vegas and everyone's pumped up about it. Max Verstappen's won the championship 8 races ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before it
The
happened.
dude doesn't. Max Verstappen doesn't even have to drive.
Yeah.
He could do a Nicky Lauda from the from Fuji in 1976. He could drive 2 laps, pull over, get out, go home.
yeah.
And just completely fuck on Vegas.
Yeah.
He won't because he's got obligations and
no,
shit.
but he can pull over, retire from the race, go up to the hotel, fuck his missus, and still have a good time and still know I'm the world champion.
And
He
still
could
come
go-
back for 55 laps of the race.
And then when he's
he
finished,
could go across the road and watch Constantino for the rest of the fucking... He's just like, Constantino's on down at the Bellagio.
I'm
Fuck
off,
you
boys."
guys, see us.
and I mean,
Done.
when he's finished with his girlfriend, he can spray the champagne all over her and then fuck off somewhere
Go
else.
down to the Bellagio. Go right up at the roulette table at the MGM. Go
Rob-
watch some boxing.
Go watch the UFC in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, whatever's on at Las Vegas. Go blow your fucking winnings at the fucking pokies. The roulette table. Whatever.
Just slap his championship winnings through the phone. He just like pulls the big roulette wheel against the 777s and he's like,
He starts running around spraying the champagne where they go. Gets 21 at the blackjack table.
just goes in. He's just like, race winnings. Put it all on 20 black. Red.
Oops, sorry.
Sorry.
it was a mistake.
Christian Horner and Helmut Marko are just like,
Oh, you idiot! What are you doing? And he's just walking around.
still got his full race suit and his helmet on. Just rocking up at roulette tables.
He thinks that the dealer is being a bit crooked, just headbutts him with his helmet.
My worry
just says
with...
that Jed Piero Lambaski's with him. He's just like, hey, mate, what's the strategy on this one? I think you should hold, Max. I think he's probably got 21 over there, mate. Look, mate, we're just going to close the gap here. I'd probably just hit and stay for a bit.
And then all of a sudden, Robert De Niro shows up and takes his engineer into the back room. He's like, "Do you play left-handed? Do you play right-handed?" "Yeah, I'm right-handed." And just starts smashing his hand with a hammer. "That's what we do to cheaters around here. That's what we do to cheaters." Yeah. He was my strategist. Yeah, you don't need no strategist.
Well, he doesn't.
not with the current way Formula 1 is, because how
Max
hard is it to
Verstappen-
choose a tyre to
Max
go on?
Verstappen doesn't need anything right now.
No.
The only thing Max Verstappen needs to know is if there's going to be an imminent engine failure. Or what the weather's doing.
I'm worried with F1 the way it's going, right, is F1 went through a period of the Mercedes where it got boring, right? It was losing fans. Now, geniusly, it come out with Drive to Survive, and you've created a new wave of forms. And right now, Formula 1 is more popular than ever. I get it. It is right now.
But it's not going to
But it won't last if you do not make the product, which is the racing, not everything around it, better. Because those fans will get bored eventually. They'll get bored and they'll
course.
leave.
Well,
It's like watching Tom Brady win 7 Super Bowls.
Well,
Yeah.
it was the two things that saved Formula One: Netflix, and oddly enough,
Bernie
Max
Eccleston
Verstappen.
fucking off. Oh, and Max, I guess.
Max Verstappen.
Abu Dhabi 2021. was
2021.
Yeah.
That was your Fuji moment.
that was the peak of Formula One. That was the peak of Formula One's last decade.
Yes.
And it hasn't reached it
and now
since.
the person who's become its savior is now the one that's killing the sport. Not by it's not his
It's
fault.
not his fault. He's just
It's
in
not
the
his
best
fault.
car.
You know, and it's a victim of its own success because now.
But it's the same thing that people used to say when we used to rag on Mercedes. Oh, fucking make a better car.
That's
it's
right.
It's not Mercedes' job to come back to the pack. It's
Yeah.
the pack's job to catch up to Mercedes. And eventually it happened. But my God, if it takes until the new regs for it to happen,
I feel like it's
We're
going.
gonna lose-
I really do feel like
it's
that.
going to be the hardcore purists that are the only ones watching. And you can
And even then, though,
You
we're
can-
going to be like us
you
right
can-
now, frustrated because we're 7 races in going, we're enduring a
2016,
season, not enjoying it.
2017, when we would stay up, and Lewis Hamilton was like, all right, if Lewis Hamilton leaves the end of the first lap, I'm going to bed.
Yep.
And I did that multiple times,
Yeah.
and it's getting that way with Max.
Yeah, it is. You watch the first 10 laps, nothing happens.
Yeah.
Max has
The
built
only
10,
thing that's
15
going to
seconds.
beat the only thing that beats Max now is reliability, and that's not the way the sport should be.
That's right.
and that's even if he has
And it's not even his own
reliability.
teammate. Like, we're not even getting a Rosberg
Yeah.
Hamilton situation because Perez can't catch him.
Yeah.
Perez is off
ain't
it.
even in the same fucking postcode
You know?
by the end of the race.
And the Great White Hope, I can't believe I'm saying this, the Great
Fernando
White
Alonso.
Hope is Fernando Alonso.
Yeah.
And he's doing as good as he can do.
You know, and But the whole thing is, F1 has now become a victim of the success of Drive to Survive, because rather than stay to what brought it to the dance, which was this thing of the possibility of great racing and that, they've poisoned the well with these shitty tracks, overblown spectacle, and then it gets bad publicity because it's got this overblown spectacle, but then
On track isn't exciting.
the commentator can't even talk to these bloody celebrities on the track without bodyguards and stuff getting in the way.
Yeah.
So now they've got the front of the grid cordoned off.
Yeah, it's bad viewing, the grid walk, because of that.
Yeah.
It's so, awkward sometimes because you think you should just be able to walk up and talk to people, and it's you're watching him trying to find a conversation with someone, you're like, oh, what is this?
You can't talk to her. She's in the middle of a TikTok.
Yeah, and you're watching these fucking up-nosed people pull their fucking bullshit privilege.
Plastic cunts who are only
our
there because
race.
they've got money.
Yeah, we do not care about you. We care about the racing. Get off. I don't want to see you throw your privilege around like I'm so good. I'm going to be here in the race.
You
but
know
can't
what
talk
would
to me.
you know what would make me interested in you, Megan Thee Stallion, is if you came at me with like a Formula One stat. It's like, not many people know that I've been watching Formula One with my father since I was like 7,
But they haven't.
And
They're
they
just
don't,
there
but they
'cause it's a
don't.
spectacle.
they're just there to take selfies for Instagram, and then
Yes,
they
to
fuck
say
off.
I was there because
I was here because I've got money.
They're there
that you will
because
never have.
they're there because it's a publicity stunt for F1, or because they're mates with Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah,
They know nothing about the sport, but Lewis Hamilton said,
Lewis
"Hey,
Hamilton
come on."
invited them because I want more clout.
I mean,
Yes,
that's
it is. It's all
that's
clout.
that's
Ego.
why. Honestly, I'd rather have Keanu Reeves there every week. At least,
Yeah, every now and then there's guys on with Patrick Dempsey. Was it Patrick Dempsey?
yeah.
Yep. He
There's
knew
a-
stuff about football. I'm
Hey,
all for
and-
people being there with money.
Even though
That are into it.
even though they didn't talk to him, I'd rather have Tom Cruise on the grid.
Yeah, he's at least into it.
Vin Diesel was there, and he was into it.
Yeah,
Michelle Rodriguez, Will I Am.
yeah.
I don't
never
even care
never
if
even
they've-
struck that Will I Am was like proper into Formula One. He's proper into technology and robotics.
Look,
I had no idea.
I don't even care if they've never been to it, but they're like, oh, I've come to check it out. But talk to Martin
open
about
about it.
Talk about it. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, I'm just here to check it out. You're not too good not to be talked to when you're on
Yeah.
the grid. Like, you're in a privileged position.
You're not too
You should
good.
only
you're not
be there
too
'cause
good
you
to say,
care
hey,
about the
I'm
sport."
learning about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't throw your "I'm here for clout" right in my face. It's it's offensive. Like,
The Williams sisters, like Serena and Venus, are the worst for it.
yeah.
But they keep showing up. They'll probably be there in Canada. And is that the next race?
Yes.
It's going to be. I bet almost my left testicle. Please don't tell this against me. That one of the Williams sisters will be in Canada. Because
Actually, you
didn't
know-
one of
Unless
them
they got a
wave the
tennis
chick
match.
in
You
the
know
flag?
who I think will be at the F1 in Canada in 2 weeks' time? I think Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds will be there.
What about Roger Federer?
Which Roger Federer?
He was
The real
track-
Roger Federer or
He was
James Marsden?
trackside the other day.
He was there today. Did you not see him?
He was that Marshall in the corner.
But yeah, I just think it's become a victim of its own success.
Yeah, it's become very, very popular, and as we've said numerous times already, it's focusing on the spectacle of it because it's got all the attention at the moment. So we've got to be this, this giant thing, and part of that's great, but you won't keep people around with a spectacle. You'll keep them around with good racing. Like
Yeah.
that's what they're there to watch. The other parts are just the cherry on top.
The other stuff will talk you into the building.
Yeah, but make sure your flavoured ice cream.
It's
is good.
it's really got to be like a wrestler named Jake the Snake Roberts. He could cut a promo and talk you into the building.
Sprinkles are extra.
But once he got in the ring, he could put on a good match.
I
Yeah.
want a good
And he would
Neapolitan.
keep you entertained. As opposed to what F1 is now, which is like a Hulk Hogan who could talk and let me tell you something, brother, and blah, 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 blah. And then you get in the match, and it's just 5 minutes of him waddling around the ring like a fucking duck.
It's literally like WCW Goldberg.
Yeah.
It's just like hey, that pyro and entrance is cool as fuck, and then he squash matches for 40 seconds and walks out. That's Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh man, everybody's here. All the celebrities are here. There's jet flyovers. There's Big Munchie. Ooh, look at all the colors. Max Verstappen wins by 40 seconds. It's just like, what did I just watch? What was that?
And you forget all the rapping that brought you to the event.
You're just like, oh yeah, but that
And you
one guy
walk
was
out
like-
with this bad taste in your mouth going, I just sat through an hour and a half of Max Verstappen just skating away with
Tell
that.
you what, though, I've been to 2 Grand Prix in my life, the 2013 and 2014 Singapore Grand Prix. I watched that happen twice. I watched Sebastian Vettel winning the Red Bull by 30 seconds the first time, and I watched Lewis Hamilton winning the Mercedes by 30 seconds the second time. But my God, do I want to go back to Singapore?
Yeah.
Like, I still want to go back as a purist. I need to get to an F1 race sometime soon.
Yeah, I need to get to one
It's
soon.
been too long.
Yeah.
It's
We
been
need
way
we
too
need to
long.
do one here, the three of us.
We need to go to Melbourne.
Melbourne next year.
If you don't want to travel super, we'll go to Melbourne. But I really want to go to Spa one day.
Oh, yeah, I'd
I
love
really
to
want
go
to
to
go to
one of them
Monza
ones.
one day. I'll never have the money.
But the thing is, we'd have to go, if we went to Spa and Monza, it would have to be a year where it's a competitive championship.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
where someone's just skating off into the distance, because it's not worth the money then. You just sitting there going,
What am I? I'm watching, Max Verstappen Wind Simulator.
you know, bloody, it's like
But
playing
that's the problem
Formula
at the
1 game
moment
with
we're
no-
facing is that, you know...
You'd
we're
have
just-
to plan it a year in advance. By the time you get there, like whatever. Like,
Yeah.
imagine if we'll do Spa next year, boys, and then we're going to Spa now, and Max Verstappen
What year
won the
was it?
championship.
What year was it where we had 10 drivers win... 10 different drivers win a race in the first 10...
2013.
Yeah.
No,
2013.
2012. 2012.
Right. So that was a reg so that Red Bull still dominated.
Yeah, Sebastian Vettel came out of it and just annihilated the end of the year.
End of the year,
Yeah, it was towards the end of the year. Like, he won one of those races at the start.
Every so often though, the regulations do come into balance.
Yeah.
2012 was the year those regulations came into balance. 98, 99 was the year the regulations came into.
Think of last year.
2021 was the year those regulations finally came into balance.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was the year we went away from those regulations, and the only reason we still had those regulations was because of COVID.
Yeah.
Because that was supposed to be the first year of these regulations.
Yeah.
So
And look, when these
COVID
regulations
actually-
started, the first
only
half of the
good
year...
thing, the only good thing COVID ever did was extend the previous gen regulations by
It
1
gave
year
us 2021
and gave us the
Abu
best
Dhabi.
championship we've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ever seen. And now look, these regulations, it may not be until 2025, but they will come into balance.
Well, when it
eventually.
started, it was more balanced. That's all we've talked about. Like, it was competitive until halfway through last year. And
It'll come
that's
back.
when
It'll come
Verstappen ran
back.
away with
It'll
it.
come back. You know why it's coming back? Because people are starting to leave teams.
Yeah.
How many Red
Yeah.
Bull people have left Red Bull lately?
Yeah, they've gone for the money
How many
elsewhere.
Mercedes people have left Mercedes lately?
How many
Like, it's-
Ferrari people have left Ferrari?
No one wants to go there. we're throwing more people at you. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it will balance because, you know, McLaren just got the Red Bull guy. Mercedes, you know, the Mercedes guy went over to Aston Martin, and now Aston Martin are good.
I think my view on it, is it a possibility to make Formula One exciting every year, or do we unfortunately, because of the nature of the sport, have to go through these, even if it's just a few year dominations, do we have to go through these years of dominations till we get a spectacle of it being competitive again?
Yeah, I think that's the nature of the beast. Is you've got to have a
It
couple
is.
of seasons
It is.
where,
Every motorsport's like that.
Yeah.
where
We
you've
had
got
to
to have.
sit through the fucking Jamie Whincup dominance of supercars.
Yeah,
We had the Valentino Rossi dominance of MotoGP.
Yeah.
You know, we had a little bit of IndyCar dominance, I guess, but it wasn't much. Yeah, every sport is
Does have it to a
inherently-
degree. You're right.
you
Yeah.
can-
Yeah,
you
well,
can
I
have a
mean,
dominance.
you had
Yeah.
Mick Doohan in MotoGP as well. He
Yeah.
dominated.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go to any
Formula
sport.
One's been through full of
Oh, I mean,
domination.
You gotta-
Early
you gotta-
2000s with
Yeah.
Michael Schumacher.
You could go
yeah.
the like '90s Chicago Bulls. You could go the New
Yeah.
England Patriots with
Patriots.
Tom Brady. You can go
Brisbane
Manchester-
Broncos.
Yeah.
Manchester City at the moment.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Yeah. Brisbane Broncos in the NRL.
Brisbane Broncos in the '90s.
Yeah.
You know, every sport has
Or
periods of
even
domination.
Brisbane Lions in the AFL.
Yeah,
Yep.
but that was good. We enjoyed that.
Yeah. That was
That was only
We-
for 3 years.
We actually had that one year where it was the Broncos and the Lions both won premierships at the same
Yeah,
time.
that was 2000. That was a good year for Brisbane.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, look, domination happens in every sport. It's just, and then the thing is, how do you curb the domination? And that's what Formula One's got the problem now.
I think the reason it's got that problem is because it's been soured by so much domination. Like, we haven't had a random...
Yeah,
You know,
like,
even after Schumacher, you had Alonso win a couple,
if
and
it
then we had
was-
Jenson Button, you know,
if
Kimi
it was
Räikkönen.
like, even if it was Ferrari that was dominating right now, at least it's someone different.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it was McLaren dominating right now, I'd be happy, but it's someone different.
Yeah.
If it was Alpine, if it was Aston Martin, if it was fucking Haas, I'd laugh my ass off. But God,
Everyone
that'd
would love it.
it'd be like, holy shit! Like this team that hasn't dominated in
Ever.
forever is dominating the sport.
Or
now.
Williams.
Everyone liked that.
I think the thing is for Formula One, it doesn't feel like those teams can ever do that.
But that's what the cost cap was supposed to do.
I know, and it feels like the cost caps, unfortunately, may be creating lesser interesting racing because
It's
everyone's
like the little teams.
conservative.
It's like the little teams needing a bigger cost cap than the top teams.
I think, honestly, you need to sell all the little teams off to works teams. I feel like it's the only way we're going to get better is you essentially make it like every team has the budget to put what they need into it.
Every team becomes a works team.
Every team becomes
yeah.
a works team. I feel it's the only way you're going to do
I
it.
That
think-
is the solution.
It's
but
such an expensive
you
sport.
can't
You just
convi-
can't.
It's so hard to convince teams to like do that though.
I-
McLaren had the opportunity with Audi and they passed on it. Then they had the opportunity with Porsche and they passed it. And then they had the opportunity with Honda and they passed on that too.
Yeah, that's because they want to keep their name in the sport, McLaren.
Yeah, but just as a supply, the Audi thing was that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the Porsche thing was that too. But Honda were just coming back as an engine supplier.
Every works team that wants to come in will want to put their name on it with the amount of money they put into it. But
Yeah,
you know, you could certainly get rid of teams like Alpha.
Look-
No one's missing AlphaTauri. No one's missing Haas. No one's missing Alfa Romeo. I mean, at
think-
least they're
Exactly.
becoming Audi.
I think the thing is, Williams is a legacy name. You want to keep the Williams name on the grid because it is a legacy team.
I don't know. I think it's. I'm a Williams fan, but I feel like it could be a time for them to change.
But
I feel like
I-
Williams
I
might be
think-
done.
I think the Williams name is fine. I think Dorilton Capital need to take risks. I mean, like,
Problem is, Dorilton Capital are an investing mob, so they're
No,
about making
Doril-
money out
yeah,
of it.
Dorilton Capital are bean counters with no imagination.
Yeah, they're not caring about. It's just an
So
asset.
clearly they're not run by Vespa Lind
It's an
because
asset.
she
They've
at
got
least she
no
had
imagination.
imagination.
Yeah.
they've got no imagination. Have you seen the bottom of their fucking car? It's flat.
It's probably run by a flat earther.
Lack of imagination. Just look at the bottom of their
Yeah,
car. It looks like
but,
a demo car.
You need every team doing what Daddy Stroll's done with Aston Martin.
He
Yeah.
came in with a 5-year plan, and last year
And
we
the money
shut
to
on that
back it.
5-year plan. And we're like, this 5-year plan's full of shit because they're 14th and 15th. This year, they're the second best car on the grid, and it's like,
Okay.
this 5-year plan's fucking working.
Right. So what you're saying
And,
is
and at
what-
the end of this 5-year plan, he's moving to Honda Power Unit, so
Yeah. He's
So
trying.
he's in
Let-
there and he's trying
let,
to do
let
something.
me let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. So if I sit here and shit on Ferrari, next year they're going to be good.
Last
Well,
year
we
they
always
were
do it
good.
with Alpine. So maybe
Yeah,
we
we're
should
still
try.
waiting for them.
Oh, I've shit on
They-
Williams
they
every
were
time I
alright
talk
last
about
year.
him. So
We keep
that's
shitting
not
on
working.
Haas.
I've been shitting on McLaren for the last 5 years, and what did that get me? 1 win at Monza and an almost win at Sochi.
Yeah.
Still hurts.
How good was that one win, but Danny Rick?
It wasn't, though.
Why?
I honestly would have been more happy with Lando Norris winning Sochi.
Ugh,
Yeah.
gross.
I would have honestly been more happy to see Lando Norris win Sochi.
Then Daniel Ricciardo win.
Your boy.
Well, look, we won 2
Our
at
boy.
Monza, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool, but
I'll tell you though, if Piastri gets his first win,
oh,
you're going to be doing backflips.
oh yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, while wearing an LP shirt. Go, look, boys!
I need to replace my Daniel Ricciardo polo. It's just, I haven't worn it since he retired. It's just sitting in my cupboard. It's just like, what do I do now?
Time for an Oscar Piastri one,
This
mate.
is what happens when I get a driver's name on the back instead of just a straight up McLaren team shirt.
Right. So, well, the news item we had was that there was a possibility and a rumour going around that the A1 Grand Prix was coming back.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sounds cool.
wrong.
Sounds awesome.
And I mean,
Another thing to watch that's going to outrace spectacle fucking Formula One.
well, last time I watched it, it was one car just driving off into the distance as well. So,
Well, that's fine.
you know, yeah. Look, I'd like to see it back, but yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Right, going to move on to the drivers' standings. So,
Max Verstappen has more points himself than every other constructor on the grid.
yes. So, driver standings, Max Verstappen is leading the championship with 170 points. In second place is his teammate Sergio Perez, who is on 117 points.
That's not confusing.
Yeah, I know, that's why I emphasised them.
Yes.
Third place is Fernando Alonso with 99 points, with 99 red balloons. Fourth place is Lewis Hamilton on 87 points. Fifth place is George Russell with 65 points and a lot of sweat in his helmet, unless he's getting rained on. Sixth place is Carlos Sainz on 58 points. Seventh is Charles Leclerc on 42 points. Eighth is Lance Stroll in those massive eyebrows and 35 points. In ninth place is Esteban Ocon, swerving vehemently to the right while getting 25 points. And coming in 10th is Pierre Gasly, who'll probably get a 10-place grid penalty.
For impeding 11th.
Yeah, for impeding 11th, and he's on 15 points.
Yes.
And the team standings, I don't want to, spoiler alert here, but Red Bull's got 287 points, and they're leading the championship. Mercedes have crept up to second place. They are on 152 points. Aston Martin is in third place with 134 points. Ferrari is in fourth with 100 points. They've finally made it to triple figures. Welcome to the party, boys. Fifth place is Alpine with 40 points. Sixth place is McLaren with 17 points. Seventh is a tie between Haas and Alfa Romeo, both on 8 points. Ninth place is AlphaTauri with 2 points and a very angry Asian. And 10th place is Williams with 1 point and a stupid American.
17 points. That's ridiculous. I can't believe how Alpine 3 races ago were behind us, and now they're gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
Again, though, look at from McLaren onwards. Just a waste of time.
Looking from Alpine outwards. Like, don't even fucking try and grip me.
Just look
Sorry,
from
just
Ferrari
grid-
onwards.
yeah.
Yeah,
Look
you
from
know,
Mercedes onwards. Just a waste of time.
Just look from Red Bull onwards. It's just a waste of time.
That's it. There's one championship. Remember a few years ago we were like ranking this into classes?
Yeah, that
A
was
and B is
class.
Mercedes and Red Bull. And this is just like the A class is Red Bull, the B class is Mercedes, Aston Martin, Ferrari, and the C class is Alpine, and the dog shit class is the rest.
Yeah.
There are no classes. There's just Red Bull and then nothing.
Pretty much.
From McLaren down to Williams, that's economy class.
Yeah.
It's fucking,
It's less.
That's like you're stuffed in the dog kennel in like the holding bay class.
It's like them Jetstar passes with no carry-on. You know what I mean? No
Oh,
baggage.
And they've lost your bags. It's like a Bonza flight, but they've lost your bags.
Poor old Williams feels like before you even get on the plane when they ask you to
Williams
scan
is
you
one
for
of
the
those
bombs.
Williams is a Cessna and you've got to fly yourself. And they
Alfa
only ca-
Romeo is $45 for 2 beers at the bar at the airport.
McLaren's like a $23 pint of VB in Singapore, which did happen.
No, you know what? Alpine,
It looks great, it tastes great, but is it really fucking worth it?
for me, Ferrari looks like when you're at like Brisbane Airport and you can see like the Qantas Executive Lounge, but you know you're not allowed in. That's what it feels like.
They're looking up at Red Bull. Red Bull's the first class, like that upper level you're never allowed in, where the celebrities all are when they're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the secret part of the casino.
Yeah, Red
in
Bull is
Monaco.
like the Taylor Swift, where like she walks on first, but you never actually see her into first. She's like I've got the lie down bed at the front of like the Emirates plane, the big double lie down bed, and I'm gonna sleep for the next 12 hours.
No.
And you're back there getting leg cramps at economy.
Red Bull is first class in that movie, The Wedding Singer, where fucking Billy Idol's there and you've got a bar and shit. You know? And Billy Idol gets on the intercom on the plane and says, "Up here in first class, we could do whatever we want because we're first class and we're better than you."
And we know it.
We know it.
If you want to be first class, change your fucking car. Christian Horner, peace out.
Whereas Williams is like going to the airport and getting scanned for a bomb. You know, security pulls you aside.
Williams is at the airport and the drug sniffer dog sits next to your back. Like, ah, fuck.
Yeah, but AlphaTauri is the one that's got the drugs in the bag. You know, the dog sniffer bag's just going all over it, going mental, and you just sit there going,
AlphaTauri's had to strip down in the change rooms because it forgot to take its like belt off through the metal scanner.
and Haas and Alfa Romeo end up on the border security show as being the agents who forgot
Trying
to fill...
to import the food from.
Yeah, they forgot to fill out the card properly, and then they pretend they can't understand English.
That's right.
What is this podcast become?
This is what happens when your racing spectacle is dog shit, and we have to make our own shit up.
McLaren's like the Dutch person who's got like 50,000 packs of cigarettes from Asia.
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah, and then they hold up the line. Yeah.
And they test him. They're like, "Have you done drugs lately?"
No,
I went
but you have some.
surfing in Brazil. Like, what the hell?
Have you done drugs lately? No, but you got some. Apparently, that's the wrong answer.
Do you do drug testing? No. Why? Can I try it?
Do you
Sign me up.
drug test? What drugs are we testing? All right, I'm finished.
Right. So the next race is in oh, bloody hell.
2 weeks in Canada, and the Williams sisters will be there.
And the Williams will be there too. But
and the race will be on at 3 o'clock in the damn morning.
And it's not the fucking public holiday it used to be. Remember, it used to be on the old Queen's birthday weekend.
how's the
Yeah.
King's birthday now?
Yeah, but it's not that weekend anymore.
Yeah.
No, but it is on a really important day. So we're going to have a shot that day.
Ah, yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. And it is the same week as the show public holiday.
Yeah, but that's after Origin 2, which is mighty convenient.
Yeah. But
To watch Queensland wrap up the series and then get drunk.
yeah, well, Nathan Cleary's out.
Yes.
Woohoo!
So they got Nico
Probably,
Hines.
that's probably
on
a
the
good
bench,
thing for New South Wales, actually.
Yeah, to be honest, it probably
So
make their
now,
team a bit better.
now they're going to play better because he's not playing like dog shit.
Sorry, I got a quick funny story. Carol, my girlfriend, and I were watching State of Origin, and every time Nathan Cleary came on, it was just like, "Oh, look, it's Jay Leno's cousin,"
Yeah.
because of his chin. Like his
Monster
chin,
chin.
his chin really makes Bruce Campbell's chin just really seem stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just this thing. Like, I'm so glad he hasn't grown a beard because they'll just accentuate it even more. That he's just got this.
Him and his dad have just got that massive chin.
I want to know every
He
time.
doesn't headbutt people, he just uppercuts them with his chin. He's just like,
I was about to say, I wonder what happens when he lies. Does his chin grow out like a reverse sort of Pinocchio?
I don't know. Lucky he's not a boxer because that's a big target.
Right. So we're going to be back in 2 weeks for the Canadian F1. And hopefully it'll actually be a decent race.
Oh,
Chances are it'll probably rain,
yeah. That's,
as it does in
we've
Canada.
had a few bangers at Canada too. So
Yeah.
fingers
Ask Robert
crossed.
Kubica.
Ask Robert Kubica, ask Sebastian Vettel 2011, that last lap.
Yeah.
Jenson Button, the last to first it.
Yeah. All right. So back in 2 weeks, Canadian F1.
Oh, we haven't done the socials yet.
You're the socials.
Socials. Yes. So the socials. I haven't even written it down on my book. So
Off the top of our head, what do we do again?
so
I haven't been on Twitter in like a week.
YouTube is the F1 chat on Vindicator 18 channel for this year. It's also on the F1 chat -1.
Correct.
Yeah.
Don't forget
Don't
the one.
forget the one.
We're on the Book of Face, aka Facebook, as the F1 chat. We're on the Twitter as the F1 chat 1.
Don't forget the one, although it's pretty sporadic at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm on the Twitter sometimes.
Yeah, it's a bit thin like my hair.
Yeah.
We're on Rumble
Yep.
as the F1 Chat, and we're on Spotify as the F1 Chat.
Hell yeah.
So, 2 weeks, Canada, JB, Longhorn, me, bye.